Welcome everybody to another episode. I am IFA.
And I am IFA.
And you were tuned into
the best,
the greatest
podcast
on the planet Earth.
Let's talk IFA.
Ashe why.
Ekabo.
Yes.
I want Bogbo Inya.
Ashe. Ire Bogbo. Ire Lopo. We give thanks and praise in the name of Olodumare as usual. May the ancestors continue to bless us and protect us all. We pray that you and your families are doing well in these days and times.
These days and times.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk IFA. Today's episode will be on the Idafa, the reading, the Oyotunji reading of the year for African Americans.
2025.
So, the reading, the divination came in Ayewo Iku, which means cross-examination for early death, because everybody's going to leave here at some point, but we don't want to leave here prematurely or early. So it came with a warning against premature death. So the ruling Odu, the Olori Odu, is Iwori or Warring. Then we have Owarren Ofun.
Ire.
Then we have Ogbe Osa, Ogbe Rikusa.
Ayewo.
And that comes in Ayewo for Iku, which is death. So we will start with the ruling Odu, Iwori and Owarren. Iwori Lotun on the right, Owarren Losi, Owarren on the left. Iwori Owarren is the ruling Odu for African Americans for the Oyotunji divination of the year. So I'll let my brother go ahead and start, and we'll dive in it.
So we have Iwori or Warren, or you can say Iwori Elerin, Iwori or Warring for African Americans. This is the ruling Odu for the African Americans. So Ifa says, for African Americans, we must know our ancestors, take care of family, do not argue with family, or separate with family. That's very important because as we see in African American communities, there's a lot of divorce going on right now. I mean, it's absolutely
It's rampant.
It's rampant. And the part in here that says know your ancestors. So these are the marital system was brought together by our ancestors. So in today's society, because our people don't have a strong foundation with culture, our people don't have a strong foundation with tradition and understanding tradition, because marriage is part of our tradition.
And they don't want
it's an
to.
institution.
That's the problem.
And so to get married and to divorce so fast, that just goes to show that we really don't know our ancestors like we think we do. Because this very important institution of marriage is what African people all over the globe is where we draw our power from. Our power is in our numbers, is in our families, is from our families to our community to our nation. That's what makes up the whole nation, but it starts with family. And so this is what African Americans this year need to really think about. With all of this divorce going on, we need to really rethink. And for those who are trying to get married, we need to marry more on in a more traditional African way, because it makes the unity more stronger. We need to really look at, when it comes to before we get married, we really need to sit down and go over how we're going to connect spiritually, financially, all of these health wise. We got to look at all of these things before we even jump into getting married. Because as you see, a lot of us just get married based on our emotions, or I love her, or she loved me, let's get married. But we really don't do the work to sit down and say, how are we going to manage financially?
Finances.
Because a big part of this divorce that's going on is due to finances.
I think that's the biggest reason. That's one of the biggest reasons for divorce today is a finance related.
Yeah, I met this one guy. I was working out one day in the gym, and I met this Italian guy. We was talking, and we got on the subject of marriage. This guy had to be about 70, but he was saying when him and his wife got married, he was from Canada. When him and his wife got married, they went through a retreat. Their church sent him, and along with a lot of other people in their church that was getting married, they had a retreat where they broke down at this retreat how they're going to manage spiritually together, how they're going to manage financially together, and broke that retreat. It was a 7-day retreat, and they was able to get all of that information. And this man has been married for like over 40-something years now. And he said he followed everything that they taught them at that retreat.
You just said the key is, after you, even if you're blessed enough or wise enough to do something like that, then you have to follow the advice. You just said the whole key, because some people get it, men, women, or whatever, it could be either one. If you don't follow that blueprint and that advice, then you're not going to be able to benefit from that wisdom. But this is deep, right? Let's take a minute to break this. This is just the first part of the divination. Family, right? Ancestors are very heavy this year. For African Americans who don't have an ancestral altar, this is the year that you really need to get that set up. Whether you still go to church or the mosque or whatever, you Buddhist, I don't care what you do, you have ancestors. Every culture, every religion has some type of ancestor veneration. So this is the year to make sure that you do that. But on a deeper level, like the Baba was just saying, divorce is rampant right now. Are you getting divination or some type of spiritual advice or guidance or some type of reading on young ladies before you get with a man and you lay down and you have children with this man? For young men, are you getting that advice and that guidance, that divination, that direction before you choose to link up with this young lady, seriously? Like that's number one. And number two is hopefully we're doing that, or we need to start doing that. But then, like the Bible said, we need responsible elders. We need to be have a structure that will support and guide the couple. So when time, because we know it's coming. Everybody says that at the wedding, when times get rough, that they go through that whole spiel, right? But then 2-3 years, 4 or 5 years, when it happens, that support system is not there anymore. I see this all the time. So now we talked about the rough time when you were getting married. Now it's here. And now
you want to drop the ball.
You don't want to deal with it.
You want to drop
it could
the
be
ball.
the man or the woman, or it could be both of them or whatever, right? If you don't deal with this, whatever's going on, and you leave this relationship, guess what? It's going to slap you right in the face.
Yeah.
When you try to go to another relationship, you have to deal with your stuff. We all have to deal with our stuff, but we have to have respectable, knowledgeable elders to be able to help and guide couples, when they're having hard times. I have it. We all need to have those people. That's how marriage lasts. That's how we have to be a structure and an institution around it, especially today. So that's one of the things that this old dude, Iwario Warren, is talking about. Is talking about men not running around having a bunch of side pieces, but marrying, whether that's polygamy or not, or whatever it is. It's talking about having a deeper responsibility, and the same with women. You know,
Yeah, because this old dude, actually, Iwario Warring talks about promiscuous women, right? And we know, I don't want to just put that in the African American community, but because that's something that's all over the world right now. You see a lot of, I don't care what race you are, there's a lot of promiscuous energy going around.
Right.
And
male and female.
For African Americans who ancestry come from Africa, a lot of African customs and traditions are very firm when it comes to females not being promiscuous. It's like the first sign they see of their daughter or something having interest in too many men, they say, "Oh, it's time to get her married off." You know what I mean? And they go to the diviner and they work that whole thing out. No, we got to get her married off because we see her going in a direction we don't want her to go in. A lot of Eastern cultures, they do that with their children. Even the Asians, they do that. Like they very firm about their children getting married. But the African, because we lost our culture and we're living in this Western paradigm, and we're the race of people that's looked down on a lot. It's like we really have to step up when it comes to culture and following the wisdom of our ancestors, because the Bible said this is the year to set up ancestor altars. True indeed. But it's also when you do these ancestral rituals, whether you get a roots reading, whether you set up an ancestor shrine, those things are the ancestor shrine is a vocal point for you to communicate with your ancestors. But also part of this ancestor veneration is learning the history of your people. When you get your roots read and study who your people were, so that you can say, okay, well, my people were very much into marriage. So I'm going to be firm with my children when it comes to marriage. They ain't going to just be bringing in a bunch of guys or bringing in a bunch of girls. And no, we're going to set that in motion while they're young.
Benny.
We already know who they're going to marry when they're young. Like these types of customs and traditions, we have to bring back to the African American community.
Yeah. So
that our young ladies are not out here and just on Instagram advertising themselves, advertising their bodies, and just bringing in and linking up with any type of young male. You know what I mean? That's, we got to really work on our young people. We got to really work on, and some of these older females and males, they got to work on each other too, because you see a lot of these 30 and 40-year-old women, or they be out here looking for young boys. You know what I mean? It's like they acting like cougars or whatever they call it. And it's just like, you're not married after like 30 years old and you're not married. That's a problem. In our culture, that's a problem. If you're 40 and you're 50 and you still trying to look for a young male, that's a problem. That's a problem. If you're in your 40s and you a woman, you in your 40s and you just, you're divorced and you going from male to male and you still trying to figure it out. That's the same for
that's a lot of people right now.
Yeah, same for young men. It's like by the time you a young male, by the time you're 28, you should be looking to get married or something. Like all of the running around that you did in your teens and your early 20s, 28, you should be saying, okay, I'm ready to settle
between
down
that
and move
28
into,
and 35,
into
between
marriage.
that 7-year cycle, we should be moving.
You should be moving into starting a family, expanding the family lineage.
Yeah.
But because our people don't have no culture, and it's not just in America, I'm talking about Africans all over the world, because our people in Africa even have been colonized. So a lot of them don't know their culture or don't even respect the customs and traditions of their ancient ancestors. So it's like,
it's looked down upon. Anything traditional
is looked down
upon in Africa. And it's ironic that it's us, mainly the African Americans and the descendants in the diaspora, that are changing that are making Africans say, "Oh, wake up!" Like, all right, wait a minute. Like, okay, our language is important. Our customs and our spiritual traditions are important.
Yes.
You know, our Orisha and every. Let me look and see what's going on.
But at the same time, we're still suffering. I mean, you got women in the culture and men in the culture still doing Negro or nigga stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Making nigga moves and doing stuff. And it's like, wait a minute, whoa, back up. You came looking for the culture, right? Or did you just really come looking for religion? Because ain't no religion here.
Right.
It's culture. Everything we do is culture. And so part of the culture is marriage. We don't want to see our children out here being promiscuous.
Right.
Because that's a reflection of the family. And
that's what this Odu talks about. It talks about in the Odu, it talks about the promiscuity of women being promiscuous, but it's also a warning against promiscuity in general. And then specifically with it's very dangerous anyway, but this Odu is saying that it's very dangerous this year for men to be too promiscuous and to be having an affair with another man's wife. Because remember now, the reading came in Ayewo for Iku, came in cross-examination for early death. So let's look at what this is saying. It's saying that this is not a year to be playing around with other people's wives, because you can end your life prematurely. Let's just be clear about it, what we're saying.
Because it's like
this is a year you really got to be careful for that.
You mess with somebody's wife, they coming for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's and it's a lot out here, because you're gonna men, for the African American male, just know that with this, and we know all races of women love African men, specifically African American men. You know what I mean? So to my African American brothers out here, be very, very careful of who you dealing with, and know who you dealing with, because you might pick up a young lady and you don't even know if she's married.
You better do your due diligence.
I mean, really do your due diligence.
You might not know and get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You better get a dafa. You better go to a babalawo and get a divination on her, so you know what you dealing with.
And do some research.
Don't
just take the word for it and get caught out there. Another thing this Odu talks about is still on the topic of family. It says that one thing. It says don't pretend to be somebody that you're not, but also don't just act like you family. This is the year to stop pretending that everything's okay. This is the year to actually sit down with the family and hash out what needs to be hashed out, talked about, or whatever. Don't just pretend to be family. Let's actually be family. Let's get to the bottom of, because every family has a little whatever going on. This is the year to get to the bottom of that, because we're going to need each other. We're going to have to operate as a family unit, and we're going to have to come together and have more unity to extend, to prolong our lives, so that we don't leave here early, because there's a lot going on with disease, with the food. Trump is in office now. It's a whole lot of stuff going on that front with the whole white supremacy thing. So, this is a time now to get your families back together.
And the community, because Iwari or Warring speaks about community, and especially the communication between the youth and the elders in the community.
I say,
Like the Baba just
paramount.
said, this is the year to get the family together. But within the family, what's the hierarchy within the family? It's the elders, on down to the mid-elders, on down to the youth. And so that is the hierarchy, because the ancestors, when they want to send the wisdom, they send it to the elders. The elders trickle it on down to the younger people, And so respecting elders this year is very, very important to the young people. Like, we got to get all of that in order, because the warrior can be a very chaotic Odu, where there's a lot of chaos and a lot of disorder and things that are in disarray. And so our families, we have to have that structure within our family, that order. So we're not just wasting a lot of time and wasting a lot of energy and just giving our energy just any and everywhere. Like, we got to bring it into the family. Fall. Yeah. Got to really bring it into the family and to the community. It's very important.
It's very important, especially for this is another aspect of this, for our mental and emotional health, because the opposite, the inverse, or the sister Odu is a Warren Iwari, or Warren Weriwe, which is an Odu of, it's a lot of craziness. There's a lot of mental, emotional instability and craziness in that Odu. So this inverse of the Odu is kind of like the antidote to that. So all these things that we're talking about right now are going to help, because there's some people right now that's suffering, and that, this stuff can make you go crazy. Things going on within the family dynamics that haven't been resolved. You know what I mean? So that's another aspect. So another thing in this Odu is just telling us to be very careful this year and be prepared for natural disasters, storms, and those type of things. Take those warnings very seriously. Be careful. Yourself and your kids, be careful of drowning. Be careful of water and deep water. Also, be careful of sudden death and disappearance. Missing, people going missing, so you can just use your imagination with that, right? Kidnappings, carjackings, like all those, these are things that fall under, under what we're saying right now, under that umbrella. Disappearances, people going missing, which also coincides with the natural disasters, right? Sudden death, so just keep that those things in mind. All these warnings are coming in this Odu.
And then also in this Odu, with all that being said, if African Americans if we don't get it together, it would be a big lesson, because the Odu says African Americans will find their way out of identity crisis. And sometimes it takes a big sacrifice, because, a lot of people don't like to listen to advice and follow the guidance of IFA or whatever, and so they may have to be the example for African Americans to say, "Ooh, I think we need to follow IFA's advice and know who we are." And by doing that, by knowing who you are, the first start is knowing who your ancestors are.
Benny.
So that you can have that pride and that joy of where you come from. Where did my bloodline come from? You know what I mean? Like, learning these things will help for our people to come out of this identity crisis. So a lot of Egungun and ancestor stuff this year, a lot of the community coming together and enjoying each other and celebrating. African Americans have to come. We have to be more happy and nice to each other.
So that leads us into the next Odu, actually, or Warren or Fum.
Warren
actually. So you just what
Kinda
you were
hit
just
on it.
saying is leading us into this next Odu, what you were just saying with some of the things that you were just mentioning. The bringing organization to the chaos, having institutions, right, rites of passage,
Sure.
schools, different training, the family. Egungun is very important this year. Family structure, discipline, having some rules and a system set up to help our people, the youth, the middle age, the adults, like everybody needs to benefit from it. And it's saying that we have to start it on our own, on a community or grassroots level. We cannot wait for the government's not coming to save us. If we're gonna start a school, we don't have to wait until we have like all it started on a grassroots level.
Yeah, we don't need a big
And it'll
old
grow.
building
Yeah.
because that's just going to give us a lot of problems.
Start small and
we
let it
don't-
grow.
And we don't need to show it on YouTube and what we doing and show what we doing to the school on Facebook. No, we could just do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you got one student, you got a school You got a school
Mm-hmm.
because once that one student starts to shine, everybody gonna see it and they're gonna start bringing their children.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry about having 100 kids in the school.
And this grandiose, just start it.
Just do it.
Start it small and it will grow. This Odu still's talking about the elders and the youth listening to each other and working together. It's talking about Egungun. It's talking about community. And it's stressing the point that we cannot be distracted and be fighting amongst one another, especially when we ain't fighting over nothing. We don't have nothing to fight over.
Nothing to fight over. We don't have nothing that powerful to fight over. Like,
We don't. Ego.
Right.
That's the problem.
And then in that Odu, like all these people getting these titles and these coming back to their community with all of these titles, but it's not doing anything.
Right.
It's like all of that is going to be revealed this year, and those people will be exposed because it's just a lot. In our community, is a lot of people with a lot of beads and pots and titles, and they're using those things as a way to get over. You know what I mean? But you don't see no work that's being done.
Yeah.
Like, what have you really built? How many people have you brought together? How much land did y'all buy? You got these grand titles, but you still paying a mortgage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have no land. You calling yourself a king and you don't have no land. You paying mortgage and you paying rent, but you an Abba. But where's the land? You know what I mean? How many people are you freeing? Because freedom, because this is what our people always speak about is we want freedom. We want our freedom. We want our freedom from the government. We want our freedom. But you got to have land to do that.
Banning.
You know what I mean? So all of these people being crowned with all of these titles, you're just paying money for a title. And then you coming back and you got 100 people in your Ile and ain't nobody putting no money in to buy no land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like these are the things that you got to revolutionize this. That's why I always say
that's the key. That's the key word right there.
We got the culture, we got the traditional practices, but we can't get away from Pan-Africanism.
I say.
Like it's like we put on a buba, shokoto. The women put on a buba gele and lapa. And they not Pan-African no more. We got to use the Pan-African that fuel. The Pan-Africanism is what fuels the culture to go forward.
So now you bring us right into the third Odu, which is Ogbe Osa, Ogbe Rikusa, right? The revolutionaryism, the grassroots, the Pan-Africanism. Like we should be organizing more. We have a lot of people in this now, a lot of people that are coming into it. We have a lot of titles and a lot of priests and a lot of godparents and a whole lot of foolishness. Now, on the other side, we have a lot of positivity, a lot of erase. Shout out to everybody that is promoting that and that is walking in the essence of that energy.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's time for us to take it to that next level by organizing and being structured and using our numbers to our advantage.
Because we got the numbers.
Yeah, we got some numbers.
I mean, how many Orisha Iles we got? I'm just saying in the culture alone.
Yeah.
And then think about the ones that are not in the culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Think about the ones that we have that are in prison.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are in prison, they studying their butt off. When it comes to IFA, they studying.
Yeah.
They studying. They ready to get out and do the thing. You know what I mean? But we can't be so complacent. I'm talking about the ones that are out.
Mm-hmm.
And like we can't be so complacent and lazy that we're just, you know, I'm in this Orisha thing.
Got initiated.
I'm going to the Bembe's and I can smoke weed
zone and can smoke. And then that's it though.
And
that's it.
I can drink and get messed up in the name of Orisha. Like,
that's it.
Nah.
That's not it.
That's not it.
That's not it.
We supposed to be building. Every Ile, Orisha Ile in the United States should have some land.
Mm-hmm. I say.
Get that.
That's what we got to start working towards. And see,
get out of the cities. Because, and the thing is, this is what I believe, and I'm not knocking anybody who's doing it, but if you're doing Orisha in these cities right now, you better get out. If you got a large following of Orisha people and you in these cities, make those people in your Ile put some money down, look to the south, buy some land, and start your village.
Take the blessings from the city
and bring it to the country.
Let's get some land. This is a strong, this Oduke is a strong male energy. And this is a fighting energy. We have Eshu speaks heavily here. This Odu is also giving a warning and advice saying that there's a lot of blockage coming from the masculine energy not being present at home. Let me say that again. Blockage from masculine energy not being present at home. African American males must take their place. Those who do not care for their children will have serious issues. Take care of your children and your family as much as you can, as much as you have the ability to do so, you know, and it's not all about money, but your time, your energy, your effort, just, you know, your presence is important.
Yeah, I want to say something on that part too, because African-American men being present in their home is very important at this time amongst African-American men. But also, I would say to the women, African-American women, don't throw any obstacles up if you have a husband or a man that's really trying to be in their children's life.
Please.
Don't throw any obstacles up to block that. Open up and welcome that in, because that's what this year is talking about. You know, Ogbe Rekusai also says... So go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay. I'm going to wait for you.
Because Ogbe Rekusa says one of the things to speak is a very fighting Odu, and it's always, you're always fighting with the person that you're close to. Like this Odu really says in this Odu that this person, if it was divine for one person, it would say, this person really don't have any friends, right? However, with this, what I see from this Odu is sometimes you got to play the art of war with people, because sometimes the person that's right next to you cheering you on, they can really have a hatred for you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And you really got to know how to use that and how to deal with that. Also, looking within a lot with
Benny.
Ogbe Rekusa,
Mhm.
because you can be your own blockage. You can be your own worst enemy
Mhm.
as well. Egbe speaks a lot in here. So in order to know yourself more,
Mhm.
I would say African Americans really have to pay attention to Egbe,
Mhm.
do more ritual to Egbe, and not try to do everything on their own. And that's what it's saying here. Women, if you got 3 children from a man and y'all had a conflict or whatever and he left, but he wants to be in his children's life, don't block that. Let that man have a relationship with his children.
It's a serious warning in this Odu against that. Women that are doing that or
It's
they're thinking
witchcraft.
about doing that,
It's
it
witchcraft.
is. And Ogbe Rikusai and Eshu are gonna be the ones that will fight and punish those women that are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some cases where some men doing it too.
Oh, yeah.
This is not generalized. If you're a man and you're keeping your,
I know some men
if
doing
she's
it too.
capable, like if she's not strung out on drugs and a threat to the, we're not talking about those type of things where the other parent is a threat to the safety and the security of the child. Okay, we're not talking about those extremes. We're talking about regular, normal, the average case. And for men, because I know some situations where there's some men doing it too.
Yeah.
Ogbe Rikusai, this energy of this Odu and Eshu will come fight and punish those who are doing that this year. And the other thing is that with this energy, it's a strong male energy, it's warning women to tone down that male energy. It's saying that it's IFA is saying that women should not try to be men because that is another big part and reason of the dysfunction that we have in our as Black people in this country within our relationships.
And they always showing us on these TV programs, they always showing mainly a lot of African American women in relationships together. It's like they're pushing that agenda. And we know the agenda is out here. It's not just in the African American culture. It's in all of the cultures, but they always pushing the African American woman like she is like the main one that's doing it. You know what I mean? And so what happens is it starts to separate the African American male from their women. If you look at all of these African American programs out today, from comedy to action to whatever, they have that element strong in our community. It's always showing an African American woman acting like the male.
Yeah.
Or beating up dudes. I'm looking at this series now, The Equalizer with Queen Latifah, and she's beating up like 5 men. But when she goes home, it's her, her aunt, and her little daughter in the house. There's not a man in that house.
Bro, listen.
And I'm like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, but Queen Latifah is she's the man.
She the man.
She's the man.
Ogbe Rikusai.
And I'm like,
She the man.
what is this?
We are
This
we
is
are
not
we
good
out of
for
balance.
our community. Way out of balance.
We out of balance. We are out.
And I love Queen Latifah. I
balance.
love her musically.
Yeah.
That's my.
But it's TV.
But it's TV.
We talking about TV.
But they're pushing
propaganda,
that,
programming.
Right, it's programming, and it's not good. So it's a strong male Odu with a lot of feminine energy in there as well, and Ogbe Rekusai as well, because you do have Ogbe leading, which is male, and then you have Osa. Which is, if you look at the markings at the top, you have the female, the 2, and then you have 1-1, which is the 3 ones are male. So it is a lot of male energy, but you have that aspect of that feminine energy in there too. So I would say, looking at this Odu as well, as it's not African American women. There's nothing wrong with your African American male leading the family. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying my husband is the leader of the family. This is his position. This is my position. Because when you really look at it, the woman, the African American woman is who keep her man together.
That's exactly what I was about to say. The man is the leader because he's the leader and he's up front, but that's the man's position.
He got to catch all the bullets.
He got to catch all. He got to catch all. But
we protecting y'all.
But as we all know, behind a strong man is a strong woman. And really, in a lot of ways, if the woman is tapped into her divine femininity, she really kind of the leader. To be honest. If we really want to talk about it, if y'all know what they say, you get more flies with honey than
you do with salt.
Than salt or
You
vinegar.
catch more,
vinegar.
You catch more
because vinegar is nasty to me. Let me use something nasty.
you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
For all the women, if you know how to talk to your man, if you know how to treat your man, you can kind of silently lead from the back. That's all I'm gonna say.
Our ancient African women understood that. But our ancient African women, they understood that.
Yeah.
They understood. They was like, okay, we'll put him in the front. Because you got to look at it. Like, my yeye, this is my mother told me by Raturum, my yeye, Shongo Babi Ashadale.
By Raturum.
Like, I came, because this is when I was living in Atlanta. I drove from Atlanta to Oyotunji. And I went on a compound, and me and my was talking. My said, let's go somewhere to eat, right? So, okay, it was just me and my we went out to eat. And I opened the door for her to go into the restaurant. And she said, you better, no, you go in first.
Right. What if something's going on in here? You lead her right into danger.
Right. I said, yeah. I said, no, I'm opening the door for you to go in. Just, she was like, if something come out that door, you better protect me. And I was like, I get it.
Right. Because you don't know what's going on in there right now.
Right. So African American women, that goes to show you, if the man is up in the front, he's protecting his jewel.
I see.
Which is you. Don't look at it like, well, he ain't leading. Why he got to be the leader? No. You're really divinely, spiritually are the leader. The man is in the front to protect you.
I see.
That is the man's job. So it's not a problem. Let him lead. You be there to assist him and give him the advice so that he can make the right choices.
I see. So we can lead together in that sense.
I
say why. On that note, I think we can conclude on that note.
Benny.
Yes. So this was the Oyotunji reading of the year for African Americans 2025. We pray that you got something out of this. We give thanks and praise in the name of Olodumare. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe. If you have anything, comments, suggestions, requests for divination, spiritual services, anything. If you want to send in a question for the Let's Talk IFA question and answer episode, please send email to letstalkifa@gmail.com. And we will be posting very soon on all our social media sites and under all of our videos how you can donate if you wish to donate to the cause, because we have reached our 1 year anniversary doing this work. So we're just getting started, but now it's time for us to take this to another level. So we want to thank everybody that has been riding with us and supporting us and watching us. We love y'all.
Ashe.
We do this for the culture. We do this for the ancestors.
Ashe.
We pay homage to the ancestors.
Ileo.
We give reverence
Ba
to
won gungun.
Oyotunji Kingdom, to all of the Orisha, IFA practitioners
Ashe.
in the diaspora, in
All
Africa,
over the
and all over the world.
All over the world.
Lukumi, Candomblé, Santeria, Palo Mayombe,
Ashe.
Ifa, Orisha, Isheshe Lagba, Hoodoo, Voodoo, all of the African traditional spiritualists, we say Ashe.
Ashe.
This has been another episode of Let's Talk Ifa. I am Awo Ifa Jamini Ray.
I am my boy Ifa Tegunshe.
And you were tuned into
The best.
the greatest
podcast
on the planet Earth.
Let's talk Ifa.
Ashe,
Odabo.
Ashe, wa Odabo.
Digba.
Akbo ato,
Ibe
asori
lopo
boy
lopo.
wo fun.
Ashe.
Odabo.